Hey guys, it's April. I hope you can see this without too much reflection on it. I apologize. I do have to have the lights in the room, and this is glass, so of course it's going to reflect. This is a shadow box that I had that I put an etching on to show you guys how to etch with the Armor Cream. And I decided that I would use this. I saw somebody do a shadow box that had like the acorns and the pine cones down in the bottom, and I had found these at Michael's and used them for a couple of projects, and I had some left over, so I wanted to toss them down in the bottom of this shadow box. But I want to do something on the glass here. I don't really want to put anything on the inside other than this because I don't want it to catch and hang on that stuff, and I want it to stay down at the bottom. So what some of you were asking me about water slides. So I thought I would put a water slide on the front of this, or actually maybe even on the back of the glass so that it could be cleaned without affecting it. So I am going to take the glass out of here, and I am going to show you guys how to do a water slide. Now this is I'm going to use clear on this. There are two kinds of water slide. Let me just grab those out really quick. You have two different kinds. You have the Royal, this is Royal Elements. I have two different brands. And it is going to be, this is for white. You have to watch when you purchase. This is for the white, for dark backgrounds. So if you're doing something that would be on, say, a black glitter cup or a dark blue glitter cup, you would want this because it's going to give you that white edge and it's going to print on the white. You do print on the shiny side of that. I will not be using that for glass because I want it to be transparent. So if you don't want it to be transparent, you want to use the white. And if you want it to be transparent, then you'll need one that is, of course, clear. Okay? And this is also for inkjet. Let me pull one out of here because I'm going to be using it. And it is printed. This brand is, I don't know. Oh, it doesn't. Let's see. This flyer was just in there. I don't know if that's the company I bought it from. Rolorius. I don't know how you say that. I got this off of Amazon, and I'll provide you guys a link below for both of them. But it tells you how to on the back, and this particular brand has printing on this side. That is not the side you print on. It's kind of flat for a transparent. You would think it would be shiny, but it isn't. It's just a flat, like matte, and that's what it's supposed to be. If you want your decal to be shiny, if you're putting epoxy over it, it doesn't matter because the epoxy is going to make it shiny. But if you want it to be matte, then you're going to use a matte acrylic spray on it after you print it. If you want it to be shiny, you're going to use a gloss acrylic spray. So let me print my design. I will come back and show it to you, and I will show you the next step. Hey guys, just a quick tip. I went and got my image, and I have sized it to about a 7 by 4.5, but I have more area on my print and cut area, and I didn't want to waste my decal paper, so I went and got some images to kind of fill in that area that I may use later at a different time on a different project. So let me actually detach that. I want to scoot that one over just a tiny bit. There we go. So I've utilized my entire space. I'm just going to hide that. I don't need it. Now if I have rotated these images to fit. You can see up here that I rotated them. If I were to leave it like that and hit make it, Design Space is going to put it back in its original position as it was entered into Design Space. And that's going to take up a whole lot of room and give me a lot more waste, and I don't want to do that. So I rotated my images to fit them in on this one sheet of decal paper. To get it to print and cut that way, I need to select them all and attach. Okay, and you need to make sure each one of your items is flattened before you do that individually. That way it will cut around each individual item. If you flatten them to one square, then it's just going to cut a square, and you don't want that. So I've got all of my images ready. I'm going to hit Make It. It's going to keep them in position at this point. So now that I have them in position, I'm going to hit Continue, and I'm going to send it to my printer. The first thing you want to do is select your printer, and then the number of copies. I turn off my bleed for transparency, especially, or the WaterSlide. I'm using the transparent, and I don't want an edge. With the white, you may want an edge, and that's fine. You may want to turn your bleed on for that, and you may want to turn it off if you want more of a white edge. So keep that in mind. And per the instructions on my WaterSlide material, I am going to my advanced options. I am going to select my media type as a photo glossy paper, and it should automatically put your printer setting to best when you select that. If it doesn't, you need to change that. So I've done that, and then I'm going to hit print. I'm going to cancel this because I've already printed mine, and I'm going to take you over to the project camera and show you the next step. Do not cut. I can't express that enough. Do not cut your material yet. You will need to make sure that you cancel at this point. Say yes, cancel that cut. Make sure you save your project. You don't want to move anything at this point, because we are going to come back and print and cut that later. And we're just going to tell it that we've already printed. But if I move this, it's going to cut in the wrong position. So I cannot move anything at this point until I'm ready to cut. I'll see you over at the project camera. Hey guys, here we are, and here is my decal paper, and you can see it's kind of shiny where the black printed, and that's fine. That's not going to hurt anything. But my decal paper is printed. I printed on the smooth side, not the rough side with the printing on the back. You don't want to print on that side again. And I'm just going to give this a minute to dry. You can see a couple little smudges here where my printer did that because I pulled it off too quick. But that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything because it's going to cut around those images. So once you have this and it's dry, your next step is to seal it. And this right here is what I am using to seal mine with. And this is the 2X Ultra Cover Gloss. This is just what I had on hand. I want mine shiny since it's going to be on glass. I really don't want it to be matte. So I am going to use the gloss. If you want that matte look, or the surface you're putting it on is not shiny, and you don't want that shine to be on there, you want it to blend better, try to match your sealer to your surface. So they sell this in a matte, that just any kind of acrylic sealer will work. And this works on wood, metal, plastic, more. This is what I used on that cup that I showed you guys with the South Carolina Gamecocks, where I put the WaterSlide onto the foil and then sealed with epoxy. I'm not sealing this with epoxy. I'm just going to put it on the glass, and that's going to be it. It'll be done. So go and lightly spray your entire sheet with your spray. Very light coat. Give it 30 minutes to an hour to dry. They recommend an hour between coats. I did 30 minutes between coats, and mine was fine. But I did do nice, good, even coats. You don't want it to bleed on there, or not bleed, but you don't want runs or drips from this. You just want a nice, light, even coat. You want to do that 3 times. So you're going to coat it, let it dry completely, coat it again, let it dry completely, coat it again, and let it dry completely. If you want, you can do a 4th coat. I didn't find it necessary with this product. So do that, come back, and then cut your image. You're just going to go back to Design Space, pull up your file. Remember, you didn't move anything, And when you get to the print stage, over to the right, click I've already printed. Put this on your mat and cut it. Then come back and we will go from there. Hey guys, I'm back. I noticed in the other part of the video as I was editing that it was getting a little bit too close and zooming in too much, so I kind of backed off a little bit for you guys. I did reverse mine. As you can see, I did another one and I reversed it. And I sprayed this one really close so that you guys could see. And you notice that it has these little places here, and that's where my acrylic spray got onto the back. This is the reason why I said don't cut it yet. You don't want to cut it yet. You don't want to cut it yet. Because if the edges catch any of that, this one seems to be okay, and it didn't. But when you have it already cut and you get these fine intricate lines on your design or at the edge of your design, you might get some of that bleeding of your acrylic spray in there. And when you do, when you put this in water to transfer it, it's not going to soak up any water. And wherever your decal is on top of that, it's going to hang there. And it won't allow you to slide it off, hence water slides. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and then I will come back and we will apply it, and I will show you how to do that. Okay guys, and I have put my water slide on my mat, and make sure that you put it on the mat the way that it was printed, the way that it was supposed to go on there. Please don't pay attention to my mat. I was cutting black paper on this earlier. But you want to make sure that it goes down. You don't want to flip it around like this. This is not the way that this one printed, or this, yeah. You want to make sure that you get it on there correctly. You don't want to flip them around. You want to put them on just like they printed. Now let's go over to Design Space because you want to make sure that you follow. Okay, here we are back in Design Space, and here is my image. I am going to click Make It Again. You've just pulled up your file, and I am going to mirror this because the one I'm cutting I mirrored. So I want to make sure that I have that just like I have it on my mat, just like this, and I have mirrored it. If you didn't mirror it, then you don't have to do that. But if you're doing yours on inside of glass, then you need to. So make sure that the orientation is correct to the way that your water slide is. And then you're going to hit continue. And then you're going to click right here, I have already printed. And then you're going to select your material. Personally, I just cut mine on medium cardstock. I don't have anything really, well, it's a little bit intricate, but I'm still going to cut it on medium cardstock, and it should cut fine. So let's go ahead and cut, and we'll come back and apply this. And you can see that the maker is reading the registration marks. And it's going to do that first of all. You shouldn't have any problem with your Explore machines reading it either. It should read just fine. And you can see that it's cutting each of the items individually because I flattened them. Well, the items were flattened individually, and then I put them on a square, but I removed that square and then I just attached everything. So you can see that each item is cutting individually on its own. It's not cutting one big fat square. Now, of course, this one's going to cut in a square because it's supposed to. Okay, and we're done, and we're just going to eject it, and I will cut this other one later. And you can see that cutting that on the medium cardstock worked just perfectly fine. I'm just going to peel this back, and you could probably use a blue mat too. I just had this one handy. And there are my water slides. Now, I have a little bit of a white edge right there, but remember, I put this on clear, so I'm okay with that. And that's why I said you might want to test cut before you do yours and see how it's going to cut. Do it on paper. And I was fine with that since that is clear. I'm not going to have a problem. And then these guys, I am just going to put in a Ziploc bag, and I will use them later. You can protect them with maybe some of your scrap transparencies or that come on your mats. If you've got an old mat and you want to stick them on there and just cover it with that transparency and leave them, you can do that too. And there we go. Now let's go over and grab, you're going to need a dish of water that your decal will fit into. You're going to also need, I'm going to set these to the side because I don't want them to get wet. You're going to need your glass, and it needs to be cleaned with alcohol if you're putting it on glass. Whatever your item is, it needs to be cleaned before you do this. And you're going to need one of the little sponge brushes. So gather your items and meet me back here and we'll apply this. Hey guys, I'm going to try to stay on camera just as much as I can for you guys. I know this is going to be a little difficult to see because we are working on glass, but we'll do our best so that you can see it. Now I am going to line this up so that I can tell where I'm at on my glass. And you should have a paper towel, a little sponge brush, and then a little dish of water and your decal. Now, I am putting mine on the side of the glass that I frosted because I want this to be inside the shadow box, and that way it can be sprayed with cleaners and wiped from the outside without damaging anything, because I'm not going to seal this after. I've already sealed the decal so the inks shouldn't run. So the first thing you're going to do, and some people use warm water and some use cool. I just got some cool tap water here, and I'm going to drop it in, and it's going to do all sorts of weird funky things. And just cover it with water. You want enough water to cover it. So you're just getting the backing really good and wet. So I'm just going to hold it down in there for a second till it gets ready to slide. Warm water, I think, reacts faster than cold water does, but that's okay. Not really in a hurry to do these. I want it to be right, and I just want it to be easy. And you can see that this side is starting to slip. That's what you want. You don't want to have to fight it. I'm just going to give it another minute. And it looks like it's sliding just perfectly fine. So I'm just going to bring that over, and I'm just going to lay it on my glass. And I'm going to take the slide and push it right off of the paper. Okay? And then I'm just until I can get a hold of the paper there. And then I'm just going to slide that paper out, keeping that flat. And I'm going to position it. And again, it may be a little bit hard to see on this glass, but I know where I want to line it up at. And if your glass isn't wet, that's okay. Just dab some water on it so it will slide. I'm going to bring it up about right there, and that looks good to me. Then, once it's in place, and you want to be gentle here, I'm just going to dab off the excess water. And if it scoots, you could just put it right back. You've got water underneath. Just going to dab off some of this excess so it doesn't slide as much. You can see that it's really slippery, little guy. Then I'm just going to take this foam brush and I am going to press out any water and air bubbles. I'm not putting any pressure really on it. I'm just dragging it across just to remove any air bubbles. Push out the water out from underneath it. I'm going to soak up some more water. I'm even taking the water out of my little sponge brush in case it soaks up any. And I'm just going to go over it again. And I don't know, let me see if I can pull it up here so you guys can see it. You can see the water is being pushed out of there when I do that. And that's basically what I'm doing, is I'm pushing out that water from underneath it. Let me put it back down. I want to make sure that I keep it straight while I can still move it. Because it won't be long before you won't be able to move it. You got a good amount of time. It's not like you have to rush in there and do it in seconds. You have time. You have to remember, this is the side that I sprayed all of the gloss on. So the water's just going to sit on the top of that. And I think that I've gotten all of the air bubbles out. I'm just going to dry that. And I did clean it prior. Got some stuff on that side now from my mat. So I'll have to clean the front again. But that's why I did it this way, so I could clean that front again. And you can see I've got some water droplets. That's fine. You just want to make sure that this is down and it's smooth. So I'm still working on mine because I don't want any wrinkles. And you're just going to keep smooth till you have it completely smooth. Just be gentle with it. That's really the key. Check my measurement again, make sure it stayed straight. Cricut mat is perfect for this. And it's getting a little tougher to move now. I've got that water out of there. But that also means that as I'm getting that water out, it won't move as much either. And there you go. That's basically it. Now you do want to let it dry. It needs to dry probably overnight or for a few hours. Let's see. Let me get my frame here so that you guys can see. When I put this back over the shadow box back together, you'll be able to see that transfer through. Let me see if I can get the whole thing in there. There we go. And I will show you a photo once I have everything in there and it's done. But I am going to flip this so that it has time to dry, and I'm just going to let it sit. So if you have any questions about doing the water slide, please let me know, and I will cover it with you in private messenger, or leave me a comment and I will help you there. Please give a thumbs up on the video, and if you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the next video.